Hi, I'm Soumya Bhamidipati, a journalist from Health Central. We're here at tonight's Chalk Talk debate on the End of Life Choice Bill. With me is co-president of the New Zealand Nurses Organisation, Kerri Nuku. Kerri, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So this issue, Kerri, why is it important and why are we talking about it now?
As an organisation, we've been involved a lot around death and dying, really. We've been involved in changes to the Coronial Act that might delay the ability of whānau to touch and feel deceased family members. So once we've started to sort of explore that area, then of course the death and dying, medically assisted dying came up. So it was really something that we wanted to use as an opportunity to protect originally Māori whānau and how they were engaged in that process. And then it became bigger than that when we started to engage with David Seymour around the End of Life Choice Bill. And what we needed to do as an organisation is take an approach that would protect the role of nurses within any jurisdiction or with any legislation that would be being developed.
If this legislation did come to pass, what impact would that have on nurses in New Zealand?
It potentially has a huge impact, and that is because at the moment there is a role for medical doctors to administer that lethal injection, but also there is nurse practitioners included in that. Now we're not sure whether that will evolve into nurse prescribers or quite how that role will develop, but certainly nurses are the frontline people that patients have discussions with around end of life or around any care actually. So what we have to do for nurses is ensure that there's still that trusting relationship that continues and that doesn't compromise patient advocacy and the role of nurses. So potentially it could have a huge impact. At the moment, the role of nurses is silent. What we see in many legislation is that the role of nurses then becomes a significant part. So we're wanting to see if the legislation is accepted and rolled out, that we address those issues, and where nurses have a significant role to play, we're involved in the development of that legislation to protect nursing.
Kerri, are there any groups who maybe haven't been consulted or their views haven't been clearly put on the table when it comes to this bill who really should have a voice?
I would say that all health professionals, that's regulated and unregulated, must be involved and must have some consultation. When anybody's looking after a patient, we immediately think of the doctor and the nurse, but actually there's those others that must be part of this discussion, and that's the people like Women's Refuge, Women's Welfare, because they are integral to a family discussion. So they're key also as part of that consultation. But also what we as nurses promote is patient-centred care.
In terms of ethics, what is the role of a nurse and how does that relate to this proposed bill?
The role of the nurse is to do no harm. It is about ensuring that our delivery of services are patient-focused and we deliver a high quality of care to our patients. That we are advocates for care, which means that whenever we're engaged in that relationship, we must provide full, informed decision making, and that patients are integral to the development of that, providing that the nurse's role is protected and there's free, frank, open, honest discussion and dialogue.
And when it comes to Te Ao Māori or the Māori worldview, how has this bill addressed that and how should it address it?
Well, if I'm to be honest, the bill is actually very light on Te Ao Māori. It makes some assumptions, so there's areas, should this bill be passed, that certainly need to be tightened up. There needs to be Māori, whānau need to be part of that collective decision making, and it needs to bring into account a wider competency required from any health practitioner that's engaged in that first discussion. So we must not just look at things from a Western world view or a biomedical worldview, which is largely the basis of the proposed bill. But we must actually make sure that the conversations are had with culturally competent health professionals, so they're giving a free and informed decision in a way that the patient understands and that doesn't compromise their own cultural integrity. So there is a lot of work that needs to be strengthened up in that, but only consultation with Māori on marae, whānau hapu iwi, across the country will be able to inform what that might look like or should look like in the legislation.
Great, thank you so much, Kerri.
Thank you.